This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado. I'm here with Joel Block. Since 1991, this former professional blackjack player turned hedge fund manager shares his insights and expertise for over 30 years, helping his clients and his audience make winning inevitable. Joel, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Gary, thanks for having me.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. You were formerly educated at UCLA and California State University in economics as well as accounting. Your vast experience as a founder, CEO, keynote speaker, venture capitalist, and a hedge fund manager for over 3 decades, overseeing Bullseye Capital, has led us here today. Share with me a little bit some background to your story that has led you to creating other advantage players.
You know, in about 1990, fax machines were just becoming new. I had been working at Price Waterhouse, and I'd done a few other things. Actually, I started in college playing blackjack, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. But I started a company taking advantage of new technology, which was fax. And we developed the concept of delivering stock quotes to investors by fax in 1990. And I was successful in raising $10 million for that venture. We grew that company all over the country and ended up selling it to a Fortune 500 in 1995. So I've been in the venture capital business, doing deals. I've done about 40 deals in my career, really for almost 30 years, 30 plus years.
That is an excellent story. I mean, life deals each of us a unique hand to play. Is having foresight and staying ahead not just an advantage, but really a necessity to win the game and remain dominant?
Listen, I look at blackjack as the metaphor for my life. I mean, I started taking money out of casinos in Las Vegas, and then I moved and started taking money out of those giant casinos on Wall Street, and that's really been the kind of the trajectory of my whole career. And a big part of what professional card players do is they have a good sense about what cards are coming next. That's the whole game for professional card players. And if consumers or business leaders can learn to predict what's coming next, and I'm not talking about a crystal ball like what earthquake's going to happen in Turkey. That's not what we're talking about. But the truth is there are hints, tells, signs, cues. There are little pieces of information everywhere that give us a very, very clear picture of many of the things that are going to happen next. Problem is, most people don't see them.
No, there's hints everywhere, but if you're not trained to see them, you're not even going to notice them. I mean, be it a conference or an executive retreat or maybe even one-on-one, you equip your audience and your clients with your renowned Advantage Player strategy. Explain, what is the Advantage Player Institute? Explain.
Well, listen, first of all, it's designed to teach corporate America and entrepreneurial America how to think, see, and act in a different way. We want people to think differently. We want them to see and notice what other people don't so they can take actions that other people won't. And that's really the hallmark of a successful person. If I was to tell you in a single word, you know what we're doing here? We're bringing back an important concept, and that concept is winning. Companies need to win. Companies don't need to engage their people and spend money on all these different things. They need to start winning. And when you win, people get engaged. And one of the problems that we have in corporate America is that we tend to cater to the middle and the bottom. We kind of pander to those people instead of stimulating the people at the top and letting the people who are in the middle and the bottom say, wait a second, that looks kind of good up there. I'd like to try harder and participate up there. I like to think of the people who are working hard at the top, those top 1%, 5%, 10% people. That's kind of an elite club of people that anybody can join if they're willing to do the work. And we help them to make it happen.
Interesting. I mean, you're a master of the game, offering unmatched insights and strategies that have shaped multi-million-dollar deals. Can these principles propel really any type of business or individual forward, or is there kind of a specific target audience that you seem to seek out?
No, I mean, listen, the strategies that we apply, they work for hedge funds, they work for manufacturing operations, they work for service companies, distributors. It works across the board because there are strategies. Once you learn to see the world in a different way, once you learn to see the tells and the signs of how you interact with people, how people deal back with you, everything about your ability to accomplish things changes for the better.
You touched on earlier, I want you to go a little deeper. Even before you taught others to be an advantage player in life, you became a great player at the card table and casinos. Has that become the foundation of teaching others how to win beyond a hand of blackjack?
Let's put it like this. It's a fabulous metaphor. It's the metaphor that I use. I don't teach other people how to play blackjack. If I'm doing a keynote speech, for example, though, the first 10 minutes I talk about advantage play. And advantage play, it's a real thing. It's what the casinos call people who can beat their unbeatable games like blackjack. And I was always referred to as an advantage player because I could take money out of those casinos on a regular basis, and it was very predictable. And that's what the casinos don't want. Now, why don't the casinos want people like me playing blackjack there? Why do they ban people like me? And by the way, I was there just a couple years before the MIT teams became popular. So I was there in the beginning of the 80s when counting cards was rather a new thing. Why don't they want guys like us to play? Because they want to win. And I'll tell you a little secret that a lot of people don't know. You know, all those beautiful buildings. Imagine the most beautiful picture of Las Vegas you can in your mind's eye. Imagine that. None of those buildings, none of those colors, none of those lights, everything that you see was funded by winners. And that's really the secret that people just really don't pay attention to. They go there, they throw their money away. You got 6 people sitting at the blackjack table. There's 7 of us sitting there. All 7 people see exactly the same information. 6 of them might as well be sitting in the dark, and one person knows so much about what's happening that person knows what cards are probably coming next.
Speaking of that, it's similar to approaching the card table. Do many show up in life assuming some will win and some will lose instead of really tuning in to ensure that they walk away a winner? And is that really the essence of what you teach?
Listen, advantage players are top 1% people in whatever it is they do. That doesn't mean they're top 1% in blackjack. They could be top 1% salespeople, top 1% engineers, top 1% mechanics, whatever it is. The trick is to get to the place where you do the best that you can do. Doesn't mean the best that can be done on the planet. It means the best that you can do. And many things happen. For me playing cards professionally, among the things that happened is I understood how hard I had to work to get there. I understood what it felt like to be there. I understood what it felt like to network with people who were at the same level as me. And I've carried those lessons through my life to everything else that I do.
I mean, it seems each one of us could win looking in the mirror with 20/20 hindsight, but life does not provide that advantage. How important is foresight? Really the art of knowing what comes next and making the right moves to gain and maintain that upper hand?
Well, just think about this. I mean, imagine if you had a sense about what people were going to do next. Not a guarantee, but a sense about what was going to happen next. Imagine if you could prepare for that. Somebody, one of the hedge fund clients that we have, there's some new legislation that came out. And because we had taught them to think differently, they thought about the legislation in a different way. And they found something in there that other people are not finding, which gives them about an 18-month head start on some of the projects that they want to work on. So they're making acquisitions, knowing with near certainty that where they're buying is going to fall into the landscape of where this legislation is going to apply. Think about what a great advantage that is. I mean, that person, using the strategies that we provided, has applied it to his business, but you could apply that to any kind of business.
I mean, a game changer, that just one bit of information they were able to act on that spread across their entire company. We all like to believe we're all equal. But in reality, is there no middle ground? And are we always either playing with an advantage or a disadvantage? Explain.
Well, in life, we always play with either an advantage or a disadvantage. There are a lot of people who say, well, it's not fair, it's not nice to have an advantage. The truth is, you either play or you don't play. And we tell our clients, and listen, there's nobody that pushes back. They all want to play with an advantage if they can have one. Because if you don't have an advantage, I'm going to come to the table with an advantage and I'm going to knock you over. And that's the reality how it works. Are we equal? I think that we all have the potential to be great.
Yeah.
I have a deep belief, and our whole institute has a deep belief, that everyone can be an advantage player. Everyone can be a top 1% player, but they have to be willing to do the work. We have to live in a society where maybe people have stopped doing all the work that it takes. Let's work a little harder, and let's reward the people who are really making that happen.
That's excellent. I mean, I've sat down with many coaches and advisors, and they're able to transform managers into leaders. But you transform leaders into advantage players in both business and in life. I mean, with leaders, can a small 1% improvement translate into some massive additional revenue and obviously affect the bottom line?
I don't know, but you shoot a rocket and it goes off course by 1 degree. I don't know where it goes, but it's not going to the moon or whatever it's aiming at. It's going to end up far away. Even a golf ball, if it goes off course by 1 degree, you magnify that by hundreds of yards. If you invest in your best people and you stimulate your top people, imagine what the impact is of your best people getting 1, 3, 5, or 10% better. Imagine what the impact of that is. And then imagine the trickle down. The people who are in the middle look up to those people and they say, wow, those people are really doing awesome. It looks really like they're having a lot of fun up there. I'd like to try a little harder. Maybe I didn't realize what was it. These quiet quitters, we don't pay attention to quiet quitters. There's just, you can't re-stimulate people who don't care about what they're doing and they're just, you just can't do it. But what you can do is you can stimulate the people at the top and they can pull up people who are in the middle and, that are less engaged and pull them up. And then as the team starts winning, everybody's more engaged.
And the ones you can't pull up, the ones you can't stimulate, the wet blankets, as you say, maybe they need to find something a little different so they can actually be going towards that goal instead of just being maybe in the wrong occupation altogether.
Well, let's talk about wet blankets for a second, because this is a really important concept, because we identify trends every single year. And the big trend that we identified, one of the big trends for 2024, is that these quiet quitters are doing more damage than we thought. And it's not because the quiet quitters are worse than we thought. It's because they're upsetting the people who are at the top, who are saying, wait a second, why am I carrying the load, the weight for 2, 3, 4 extra people who aren't really doing very much? Why am I and they end up leaving. So who ends up staying is the wet blankets, the people that are putting the wet blanket on top of your high performers. That's why we tell corporations and we're telling clients, stimulate the people at the top, because the people at the top are going to pull the people in the middle who want to be pulled. And if they don't want to be pulled, then we tell HR, listen, I can't tell you what to do with them, but I know what I would do.
Exactly. I mean, what you teach is not magic. I mean, there's no sleight of hand, but instead advantage play really is a way of life. It's high level, confident, calculating, and it's strategic. Can this mindset be taught? And is that exactly what you have successfully proven to do for decades?
Well, let me put it like this. Easy to teach, but somebody has to want to learn. And if they want to learn, it's absolutely learnable. And we lay it out there for them. And there are hundreds of advantage plays that we've come up with, strategies, ways to solve problems, issues, different kinds of situations. And we put it out there in a big way. And people are learning it. When people say, I'm going to learn to think differently, I'm going to learn to see and notice what other people don't so I can take actions that other people won't, when they really internalize that and they really make it their own, they really take ownership of that, that's when you get a hedge fund guy that says, hey, you know what, there's something buried deep in this piece of legislation that other people aren't noticing that gives me a roadmap to what the future looks like. That's thinking different. And that's a great example of somebody who's going to make a lot of dough on an attitude adjustment like what we gave them.
So when the student is ready, the advisor, the teacher is going to appear, and that is necessary in that. I mean, your firm provides strategies, plans, and tactics to really stack the deck in our favor, to make plays like a seasoned pro. So can this be effective no matter which cards are dealt to you?
Listen, some cards are better than others, and you don't win every single hand. But the trick in cards and in business is to win when the most chips are on the table. So you're not going to win every hand, even in blackjack. Maybe in blackjack, maybe you win 48 out of 100. Okay. So they're going to win 52. You're going to win 48. So you're not going to win the majority of the hands. But the hands that you're going to win are the hands where you know that the deck is rich in cards that benefit you, which is tens and aces, and that's when you push your money to the front of the table. And so if you're winning when the big money's out in front, you don't have to win the majority of the time. You just have to win those times.
Got to know when to hold them, got to know when to fold them.
That's kind of how you have to do.
Yep, definitely so. I mean, so what are the ways that leaders out there can get a lot smarter and better and really fast with yourself and your firm? I mean, what's the first step? How do they start?
Well, the first step is that they really need to commit that this is something that they want to do.
Okay.
And if they're an entrepreneurial company, we have entrepreneurial programs. If they're a corporate company, we have large corporate programs, and we have quite large companies, Fortune 500 size companies. So we do really both, and we have different divisions for those different things, because it's not so much that the content is different, but the way that we facilitate the material to come to life is quite different between those groups. And so they just have to reach out, and we can help them get on the right track.
Excellent. Joel, you shared earlier, really it's no surprise your clients' competitors, I mean, just like the house casino, they dislike what you teach. The advantage player has a heightened situational awareness that allows them to sit at the high roller seats. You're an advocate for really winning and success. Is this rewarding work for you?
It is tremendously rewarding. I mean, I was in the hedge fund business, the venture capital business. Those are very difficult businesses. You're working hard for your investors, for yourself. This is a little different. This is legacy work. This is the kind of work where it's going to continue for a long time. So I'm doing a lot of writing. I'm putting a lot of the concepts that I've learned over the last 30 or 40 years to play and sharing them with others. And it's going to make a big difference for other people.
Quite a legacy. I'm glad to share your story. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website for theadvantageplayer.com, and you're going to see all the services they provide right there. So you can stop playing the penny slots and move into the high limit room. Because if you want to win big, you have to play big and with an advantage. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.